Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today is Sunday, February 1st, 2026, and I want you to just take a second and, visualize where you are right now. Maybe you're frantically stuffing socks into a suitcase. Maybe you're sitting in one of those really uncomfortable airport chairs. Or maybe you're just staring at your calendar, desperately needing an escape.
I think we've all been there.
We have. Because today, we are heading to the desert. We are going to Las Vegas.
But, and this is really important, we need to be very clear right off the bat. We are not going to the Las Vegas of the movies. Not at all.
No.
We aren't going to the Hangover version. We're definitely not going to the Rat Pack version. And we certainly aren't going to the version that existed even, 5 years ago? We're looking at a very specific, almost high-resolution snapshot of this city as it exists right now in early 2026.
Exactly. It's funny, when we pulled the stack of research for this deep dive, and I'm not kidding, we have a literal mountain of documents here. Everything from Architectural Digest to, local logistical guides.
Yeah.
What jumped out at me is that the city is in this weird, just fascinating state of flux. It's almost like the city is molting.
That is the perfect word for it.
Yeah.
It really is. It's shedding its skin. You have these massive billion-dollar engineering projects that are completely redefining what entertainment even means on a global scale.
Right.
And then sitting right next to them, sometimes literally across the street, you have these relics of the past that are either being bulldozed or, on the other hand, obsessively preserved.
It's such a complex ecosystem. I think people dismiss it as just Sin City, just gambling and partying.
That's the stereotype.
But the sources we have, they describe a battleground between these incredible artificial wonders like the Sphere, which we will get into, and these equally stunning natural wonders like the geology of Red Rock Canyon just minutes away.
And our mission for this deep dive is really to help you navigate that neon city. We want to get you off the casino floor. We want to focus on the high-fidelity experiences, the stuff that actually utilizes the technology that 2026 has to offer, and balance that with the logistical hacks that the locals use to survive the chaos. Because, let's be honest, if you don't know what you're doing, Vegas can chew you up.
Oh, it absolutely can. So we're going to talk about the experiences that are changing the game, the secrets to beating the crowds, and the stark reality of what is open and what is closed right now in February 2026.
So let's dive in, and I think really the only place to start is with the structure that has changed the skyline more than anything since they built the stratosphere.
Or the Strat, as they call it now.
Right, the Strat. We have to talk about what you call the Battle of the Spectacles.
The battle between water and pixels.
Precisely. On one hand, you have the new Titan, the Sphere at the Venetian, and on the other, the enduring classic, the Bellagio Fountains.
Let's unpack the Sphere first, because looking at the specs in these articles, it is genuinely hard to even wrap your brain around it. I feel like calling it a venue with a big screen is doing it a massive disservice.
It's a complete category error to call it a screen. You really have to think of it as architecture as media.
Architecture as media. I like that.
Physically, you're looking at the largest spherical structure on Earth. It's over 360 feet tall. But the exterior, the exosphere, the part everyone sees with the giant eyeball on it, that's just the wrapper.
Right, that's the billboard.
Exactly. The real revolution is what happens inside.
The 16K resolution, that number just gets thrown around.
It does, and it's almost meaningless without context. Let's break that down, because 16K is just a marketing number to most people, right?
Right. My TV is 4K, and I think that's pretty good.
It is good. A high-end television at home is probably 4K. A standard movie theater screen, that's usually 2K, maybe 4K if you're lucky. This is 16K, but the critical difference, the thing that changes everything, is that it wraps around you, it wraps over you. It's 160,000 square feet of LED display.
So it completely eliminates the frame. There's no edge.
Precisely. That's the key. When you watch a movie, your brain always knows it's watching a movie because you can see the black bars or the edge of the TV or the little green exit sign in the theater.
Subconsciously, you know you're in a room.
You're in a room looking at a window. In the Sphere, the image fills your entire peripheral vision. Your brain actually stops processing it as media and starts processing it as environment. It literally tricks your vestibular system, the part of your brain that controls balance.
Wow.
People feel a sense of vertigo just sitting in their seats when the image moves.
But the visual is only half of it. I was reading these research papers on the audio system, and frankly, they sound like science fiction. This word beamforming. Can you explain this like I'm 5, but without, losing the nuance?
Okay, I'll try. Think of a normal concert venue like an arena. You've got these giant stacks of speakers hanging on the left and right of the
The
stage.
big black boxes, yeah.
It's essentially a spray and pray method. They just blast sound out into the room. If you're lucky enough to sit in the middle in that perfect sweet spot, it sounds great.
But if you're stuck way off to the side.
It sounds muddy. You're hearing reflections off the back wall, echoes. It's a mess. You're hearing the room, not the music. That's the classic bad seat problem.
Right.
Beamforming solves this. Instead of a few huge speakers, it uses roughly 160,000 tiny speakers hidden behind the LED screen. And they use complex algorithms to shape the sound waves into, well, beams, like a laser beam of sound.
A laser beam of sound. So they can direct specific audio to specific seats.
They can target a specific seat. It's insane.
Wait. So in theory, I could be sitting in section 100, hearing the movie in English.
And the person in section 101 right next to you could be hearing a completely different language track, like Spanish or French.
That is wild. But for a concert, what does that mean in practical terms?
It means that every single seat gets a perfect, pristine studio mix. The sound doesn't degrade over distance. It's like you are wearing a pair of incredibly high-end, invisible, noise-canceling headphones, but the sound is just in the air around you. It uses something called wave field synthesis to position sound in 3D space. A bird can chirp behind your left ear, and it sounds like it's right there.
That's incredible. So knowing the tech, let's look at what is actually playing. It is February 2026. If I buy a ticket today, what am I going to see?
Okay, so you have a mix of, let's call it legacy and cutting edge. On the film side, you've got The Wizard of Oz, an immersive film experience.
Which, just to be crystal clear, is not just them projecting the 1939 movie on the wall.
Oh, God, no. It's a total reconstruction. They've taken the original film assets and expanded them for this massive canvas. But the real trick is they're also using all the 4D effects, the haptics.
The shaking seats.
It's so much more subtle than just shaking. The seats in the sphere have what's called an infrasound haptic system. They use very low-frequency sound waves to vibrate your skeleton, essentially.
What?
So when the tornado hits in the movie, it's not just that the chair rumbles. You feel the rumble in your chest, in your bones. It's a physical sensation. Plus, they use atmospheric effects, wind, temperature changes, scent.
So when Dorothy is in the poppy field.
You smell the poppies. You feel the cool breeze of the approaching cyclone. It's designed to be a total sensory override, to short-circuit the part of your brain that says, this isn't real.
And then there's the other big one, the Darren Aronofsky film, Postcard from Earth.
That was the launch title for the venue, and it's still running for a very good reason. It's the ultimate tech demo. Aronofsky filmed this specifically for the Sphere using a specialized 18K camera system they developed called Big Sky.
An 18K camera. And what's the premise there?
It's got a loose sci-fi framing. The idea is that you're one of the last humans waking up on a spaceship, and you're looking back at these postcards of Earth. But really, it's a nature documentary on an impossible scale.
How so?
The camera gives you a perspective you physically cannot experience in real life. You're not looking at a giraffe. You're suddenly eye level with a giraffe that's 50 feet tall. You're not watching a thunderstorm. You are inside a thunderstorm. It's a very emotional experience, which is what Aronofsky does best. It's designed to create a sense of awe.
And for the music fans, I'm looking at the roster for early 26. I see the Eagles and the Backstreet Boys have residencies.
Right, and the Eagles' residency is the one to watch if you are a true audiophile.
Right.
They are notoriously, famously obsessive about sound quality. So for them to pair with that beam-forming sound system, it's a flex. It's them saying, we want you to hear every individual guitar string, every subtle harmony, perfectly distinct and separate from the drums, no matter where you're sitting. It's an audio nerd's dream.
Okay, here it is. The million-dollar question, literally, considering some of these ticket prices, where do you sit? The marketing all says there are no bad seats, but I am deeply skeptical. There are always better seats.
You should be skeptical. That is marketing speak. There are absolutely better seats, and it depends entirely on what you want out of the night. It's not one size fits all.
Okay, so break it down for us. Let's say I'm going for the band. I want to see the Eagles.
If you are there for the band, you want that human connection. You want to see the expressions on their faces, the sweat on the brow. You go to the 100-level sections, or even the floor, front and center.
But there's a trade-off.
A huge trade-off. You have to accept that you will lose the top half of the screen. You are too close. You'll be craning your neck the whole time to see the visuals. It's like sitting in the front row of an IMAX theater. You get the intimacy with the performers, but you lose the immersion of the screen.
Okay, but if I'm there for the movie, for Postcard from Earth,
then do not sit on the floor. or in the 100s. You want to be in the 200, 300, or even the 400 level. You want to be central and elevated. That is the immersive sweet spot our sources talk about.
Why is that?
You need to be far enough back that the screen fills your entire field of vision without you having to physically move your head up and down and side to side. You want to be able to just relax and let the image wash over you.
And I saw a note in one of the guides here about a specific problem, an overhang.
This is crucial. This is the biggest mistake you can make. The 100-level sections have an overhang from the 200 level above it. If you are in the back rows of the 100s, that ceiling will physically block the top third of the sphere.
So you're paying full price for half the show.
You're paying hundreds of dollars for a completely compromised view. You lose the immersion entirely. You have to check the view map very, very carefully before you buy those tickets.
That's a great tip. Okay, so that's the digital spectacle. Let's pivot now to the analog one.
Yes.
The Bellagio Fountains.
The OG. The original.
Now, it feels almost quaint comparing it to the sphere, doesn't it? It's just water.
It is. It's just water.
Yeah.
But it's water, gravity, and pressure. It's pure physics. And, in a world that's becoming more and more about screens and virtual reality, there's something deeply, profoundly satisfying about watching millions of gallons of actual physical water being shot 460 feet into the air.
I agree. But the experience of watching it can be miserable if you do it wrong.
Oh, absolutely miserable. We call it the sidewalk crush. If you go at 3 p.m. on a Saturday in July, you are shoulder to shoulder fighting for space with thousands of other people.
Ugh.
The sun is glaring off the water so you can't even see the lights properly. It's 100 degrees out, and it just feels like a chore. You're ticking a box, not having an experience.
So what's the deep dive hack here? The research points to a very, very specific window of time.
The golden hour.
Mm.
Specifically, Monday through Thursday between 7 p.m. and 8:00 p.m.
Why that hour specifically? It seems so precise.
It's all about the lighting. The sun has just set behind the spring mountains, so the sky isn't pitch black yet. It's that deep, electric twilight blue.
Ah, I know that light.
So you can still see the silhouette of the hotel backdrop, but it's dark enough that the brilliant white and gold lights of the fountains just pop against that blue. It's gorgeous. Plus, the big dinner rush is happening inside the restaurants, so the sidewalk is slightly less chaotic. It has this cinematic, elegant quality that you just do not get at noon.
Okay, but what if we want to get off the sidewalk entirely? What if we want to upgrade the experience?
Elevation is key. The best locals tip is to book a window table at the Eiffel Tower restaurant across the street at Paris, Las Vegas. You're looking down on the fountains from above, which is a perspective most people never see.
And what about inside Bellagio itself?
Lago, it's an Italian restaurant, and it has this outdoor terrace right on the water.
Oh, wow. So you're right there.
You're practically in the splash zone, but you're sitting down with a glass of wine. You can hear the roar of the cannons as they fire. It transforms the event from a chaotic tourist crush into a piece of high art.
It really is a study in contrasts, isn't it? The sphere is this active engagement. It demands your full sensory attention, and the fountains are this passive, almost meditative beauty.
And Vegas needs both. It absolutely needs both. It needs the frantic energy, and it needs that moment of zen.
Well, speaking of frantic energy, let's move to part 2, the stage. We can't do a deep dive on Vegas without talking about theater and immersion. And the king of the hill, by a mile, is still Cirque du Soleil.
Still the dominant force.
But looking at the 2026 lineup, it's honestly a little confusing. There are so many shows now. It's not just one thing.
It's what we call the Big Five, and they are absolutely not interchangeable. This is where people make huge mistakes. They think, oh, I'll just see a Cirque show, and they end up taking their 8-year-old kid to the wrong one, or they go expecting mind-blowing acrobatics and get what feels more like a dance recital.
Right, so let's categorize them for everyone. Let's start with what is arguably the crown jewel. O at the Bellagio.
O is the aquatic masterpiece. It's high art.
The stage itself is a 1.5 million gallon pool of water that appears and disappears in seconds. It's technically baffling.
So who is this for?
If you appreciate surrealism, like a Salvador Dali painting come to life, if you like romance, and if you are fascinated by heavy engineering, this is the one for you. But it's important to know, it's slower, it's more dreamlike, it's visual poetry, it's not nonstop action.
Okay, so let's contrast that with Ka over at the MGM Grand.
If O is visual poetry, Ka is the summer blockbuster movie. It's an epic. It actually has a linear story you can follow. It's about imperial twins separated by war.
Stage is totally different. Completely. The stage for Krita doesn't have water. It has these two massive hydraulic floating platforms that can lift, tilt, and even turn completely vertical. They have an entire battle scene where the performers are fighting on a vertical wall. It's got martial arts. It's got massive pyrotechnics. It's aggressive. If O is a beautiful dream, Ka is a thrilling battle.
Okay. And what about Mystère? That's the original, right?
The original, in some ways, still the purest. It's at Treasure Island. Mystère is pure circus. There's no complicated plot to follow. It's just one unbelievable, high-energy, acrobatic act after another. It's got bright colors, big, funny characters, and this incredible live drumming. It is the safest bet for families or for anyone who just wants to be amazed by the human body. It's pure joy.
Then you have the music-themed ones. Michael Jackson 1 at Mandalay Bay.
This one is pretty straightforward. It's a tribute show. If you don't like Michael Jackson's music, do not go to this show. But if you do, the sound system in that theater is incredible. They actually have speakers built into every headrest, and the acrobatics are blended seamlessly with hip-hop and street dance. It feels more like a concert that just happens to have world-class acrobats in it.
And the newcomer, relatively speaking, Mad Apple.
Right. This is at New York, New York. It replaced the long-running adult show Zumanity. Mad Apple is a hybrid. It's not a single, coherent artistic vision. It has stand-up comedians, it has a magician, and it has acrobatic acts, all themed around a wild night out in New York City. It's looser, it's louder. It feels more like a high-energy variety show than a piece of high art. It's a party.
Now, here is probably the most critical piece of logistical intel for anyone planning to see a Cirque show in 2026. The dark days.
This catches people out constantly. It's a classic rookie mistake. In New York, most Broadway shows are dark on Mondays. It's simple. In Vegas, it is a complicated jigsaw puzzle. The shows all stagger their days off so that something is always open, but not everything is.
I'm looking at the schedule grid right here from one of the guides. O is dark Mondays and Tuesdays.
Right, so let's play that out. If you fly into Vegas on a Sunday afternoon and you leave on Wednesday morning, you cannot see O. It is physically impossible to see it on that trip.
Okay. Calf is dark Thursdays and Fridays. Mystère is dark Wednesdays and Thursdays. MJ1 is dark Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And Mad Apple is dark on Sundays and Mondays.
You have to build your itinerary around these dark days. You cannot just show up and expect to get a ticket for the show you want on the night you want. You have to plan the trip around the ticket, not the other way around. It's a crucial planning step.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the other side of the stage. Magic. You still have the absolute giants like David Copperfield, but the guide we're looking at specifically highlights Shinlim.
Yeah, and Shinlim is really interesting because he represents this modern shift in what magic is. Copperfield, who is still a legend, still at the MGM Grand, is all about big illusion.
Disappearing cars, cutting people in half.
Exactly. Big boxes, grand theatricality. It's spectacular. Shinlim, who is at the Palazzo, is all about close-up magic. It is pure sleight of hand. It's card manipulation.
Which would be hard to see in a big theater, right?
It would be, but they project his hands onto these massive screens. So the show is about watching his dexterity. It's quieter. It's more intellectual. You're not wondering, how did that card disappear? You're sitting there trying to figure out the mechanics of his fingers. It's very 2026. We're obsessed with process, with the how.
And for the more adult-oriented crowd, the sources mention Rouge at the Strat and, of course, Absinthe.
Absinthe is an institution at this point. It's in this antique Spiegel tent right outside Caesar's Palace. It is raunchy, it is hilarious, and the acrobatics are actually world-class. The amazing thing is how close you are to them, but it is definitely not for kids.
Right.
It has this old-timey vaudeville meets raunchy stand-up comedy vibe. Rouge is in a similar vein. It markets itself as the sexiest show in Vegas, so that gives you a pretty clear idea of the tone. It's topless, it's high energy, very acrobatic.
Before we leave the entertainment section, we absolutely have to talk about something that kind of defies categorization. Meow Wolf's Omega Mart at AREA 15.
This is the absolute definition of immersive art. It's located a little bit off the strip, but it has become this massive must-see destination.
And the premise is that it just looks like a grocery store.
On the surface, yes, and that is the genius of the hook. You walk in, and it is a brightly lit, sterile, perfectly normal-looking supermarket. But then you start to look at the products on the shelves, and they are, well, they're wrong.
Like what?
You'll see cans of dehydrated water, boxes of whale song deodorant, a bag of nut-free salted peanuts. It's this brilliant, hilarious satire of consumer culture.
But you don't just shop for weird products.
No, that's just the lobby. You might notice that one of the refrigerator doors in the drink aisle is slightly ajar. You pull it open and you walk through it, and suddenly you are not in a supermarket anymore. You're in a frozen ice cave with glowing crystals. Or you might crawl through a tent in the camping aisle into a glowing psychedelic forest. It's a non-linear narrative that you explore.
So it's like an escape room mixed with an art gallery mixed with a funhouse.
That's a perfect description. And you can engage with it on whatever level you want. You can just walk around for an hour and look at the pretty lights and the weird sculptures, or you can spend 4 hours reading documents, hacking into employee computers, and scanning product barcodes with an RFID card to solve the deep, complex mystery of the store's corrupt corporate owners. It gamifies tourism. It demands your agency. You aren't just sitting in a velvet seat watching a show. You are opening drawers and climbing stairs and being part of the story.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears completely. We've done the high tech, we've done the shows. Now I want to do some time travel, part 3, history and culture. Because believe it or not, Vegas actually has a history.
It does, a very rich and complicated one, and they've done a really remarkable job of preserving it in recent years. The absolute standout here is the Mob Museum.
The National Museum of Organized Crime and Law Enforcement. It's in downtown, right? Not on the Strip.
Yes, and that location is critical. It's in the historic 1933 U.S. Post Office and Courthouse, and that building matters. It's not just a random shell they put exhibits in. Actual pivotal mob hearings took place in the very courtroom you can sit in. The Kefauver hearings in 1950.
Why were those hearings so significant?
That was the moment the mob was dragged, kicking and screaming, into the sunlight of the American living room. Before that, a lot of people thought the mafia was just a rumor or something that only happened in New York or Chicago.
Right.
These hearings were televised. They were some of the first major televised events in American history, and the nation watched as these notorious gangsters sat in that very room and pleaded the Fifth. It was a sensation.
So standing in that courtroom today, it has real weight.
It absolutely does. And the museum does a brilliant job of framing the entire history as a battle, the mob versus law enforcement. They have these incredible and sometimes grisly artifacts. They have the actual brick wall from the St. Valentine's Day massacre in Chicago.
They moved the wall.
They bought it, dismantled it brick by brick, and reassembled it there. You can still see the bullet holes. They have the chair from the Nevada gas chamber. It's gritty. It does not glamorize the violence at all. It documents it with historical accuracy.
But it's not all just looking at old guns and photos. There's a basement component that sounds really, really cool.
The underground. This is a brilliant touch. It is a working speakeasy and a working distillery in the basement of the museum.
You can actually drink moonshine there.
You can. They distill it on site. You can order Prohibition-era cocktails made authentically while surrounded by 1920s artifacts. It's immersive history. You aren't just reading a plaque about Prohibition, you are tasting it. Legally, of course.
And you mentioned earlier that this museum does something really important for the city's reputation.
It legitimizes its history. For a long, long time, Vegas tried to either hide or just sort of mythologize its mob past. It was all lore and rumors. This museum takes that Sin City history and subjects it to real academic rigor. It preserves it. It says, yes, this happened. It was violent and complicated. And here's how it shaped not just this city, but the American legal system.
Another place preserving a different kind of history is the Neon Museum. This is the famous Boneyard.
This is where old signs go to die, or rather to retire gracefully. It's this beautiful outdoor exhibition of rescued historic signs. You'll see the iconic script from the Stardust, the sign from the Moulin Rouge, the old Golden Nugget. It's a graveyard of giants.
So the big question is it better to go during the day or at night? I see arguments for both.
That is the common debate, and our sources suggest they are two completely different experiences. In the daytime, you really see the craftsmanship. You see the rusted metal, the intricate glass tubing, the sheer scale of these things. You realize they were built like tanks, these massive metal sculptures.
But at night, that's where the magic comes in.
At night, they have a show called Brilliant, and what they do is use projection mapping technology to re-illuminate the broken, dead signs. So even if all the bulbs are gone and the neon gas has leaked out, the projectors make them look like they are lit up, blinking, and moving again.
So it brings the ghosts of Vegas back to life.
That's exactly it. It's incredibly poignant. You're seeing the history of the city flicker back into existence for a few minutes.
And one more historical, or maybe Pseudo-historical stop, we should mention, the Eiffel Tower experience at Paris, Las Vegas.
A very impressive half-scale replica of the original.
It's 46 stories up, right?
460 feet. It gives you, without a doubt, one of the best 360-degree views of the Strip. And it's interesting to include this in the history section because it represents a very specific era of Vegas history. The themed era.
Right, the 90s.
The 90s era, where they weren't just building hotels, they were building these massive themed replicas. New York, Paris, Venice. And that style persists. It's still a defining part of the Vegas skyline and its identity.
Okay, we have been in the dark theaters, the museums, the casinos. Now, I want to get outside. I want to get some sun. Part 4, escaping the neon. Because just 30 minutes away from all this chaos, it literally looks like Mars.
Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area. It's only about 17 miles west of the Strip, but you feel like you've been transported to a different planet.
Now, if you are planning on visiting in February 2026, or really any time in the cooler months, there is a crucial piece of logistics you absolutely need to know about Red Rock.
The timed entry reservation system. This is mandatory for the main scenic drive between October 1st and May 31st. The hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You cannot just drive it to the gate with cash and expect to get in. You will be turned away.
So you have to book your time slot online in advance.
You have to. And the cell service out there at the gate is spotty at best.
Oh, good point.
Do not be the person sitting in a line of cars at the entrance trying to book it on your phone. Book it a day or two in advance from your hotel room. It only costs a few dollars, but it guarantees your entry.
That is vital intel. Okay, so once you're in, what are we looking at? Why is the rock red?
It's Aztec sandstone. And what that is, essentially, is ancient sand dunes from the Jurassic period that have been tetrified and then rusted. The iron in the minerals oxidized over millions of years.
Wow.
But the really cool geological feature you can see there is something called the keystone thrust. You can physically see this sharp diagonal line where older gray limestone sits directly on top of the younger red sandstone.
Wait, how does older rock get on top of younger rock?
It's a reverse fault. Imagine two tectonic plates colliding with such incredible force that one plate is pushed up and over the other one. It's a visible scar of the Earth violently rearranging itself. It's geology in action right in front of you.
That is amazing. And for hiking, because February is actually a fantastic time to hike there. It's not 110 degrees.
Oh, exactly. In February, it's crisp, cool, probably 60 degrees, perfect hiking weather.
Yeah.
A couple of recommended hikes from our sources. First, Icebox Canyon.
Why is it called Icebox?
Because it's a deep, narrow canyon that gets very little direct sunlight, so it stays cool all year round. In the summer, it's a life-saving refuge from the heat. In February, if there's been any recent rain or snowmelt, there are often seasonal waterfalls at the end of the trail. It involves a bit of scrambling over boulders. It's not a paved path, but it's a real adventure.
And for something a little bit easier.
Calico Basin. This area gives you easy access to those brilliant red sandstone hills without a super strenuous climb, or, my personal favorite, the Petroglyph Wall Trail.
Petroglyphs, like ancient drawings.
Exactly. It's a short, easy trail that takes you to a rock face covered in actual rock art etched into the canyon walls thousands of years ago. It's a powerful reminder that people lived and thrived here long, long before the first casino was ever imagined.
Moving from natural rock to man-made concrete rock. Let's talk Hoover Dam.
The absolute engineering marvel of the Great Depression, built between 1931 and 1936, a monumental achievement.
And the tours take you right down into the belly of the beast, don't they?
They do. The generator room tour is the highlight. You stand on this balcony overlooking these massive humming turbines. You can feel the vibration in the floor. You walk through some of the original construction tunnels. It smells like ozone and old, cool concrete. It's visceral.
I heard this myth that the concrete in the dam is still drying. Is there any truth to that?
It is technically still curing, yes. The chemical hardening process in concrete continues for decades, even centuries. But the real story isn't about drying, it's about cooling.
Cooling.
Concrete generates a huge amount of heat when it sets. If they had just poured the dam all in one massive block, it would have taken an estimated 125 years to cool down, and the stress would have caused it to crack and crumble.
So how do they solve that?
They had to pour it in a series of interlocking blocks like a giant Lego set, and they embedded over 582 miles of steel pipes throughout the concrete, running refrigerated river water through them to carry away the heat. It was an incredible feat of thermal engineering.
That is just incredible. And there's a bridge now, right? You don't just drive over the top of the dam anymore like you used to.
Correct. The Mike O'Callaghan-Pat Tillman Memorial Bridge, it spans the Black Canyon just downstream from the dam, and critically, it has a pedestrian walkway.
Ah.
This offers a breathtaking, high-altitude view of the dam's face that you simply couldn't get in the old days. It's only from that bridge that you can truly appreciate the scale of that curved wall and the immense pressure of the water it's holding back.
It's really amazing to think that Las Vegas, the Neon City, literally wouldn't exist without that dam.
Absolutely not. The water and the power generated there make the entire city possible. It is the battery that runs the machine.
All right, we are in the home stretch. Part 5, navigating the city. We need to talk logistics and the in-between, because getting around Vegas is deceptively, shockingly hard.
It is. The scale is a complete optical illusion. You look down the strip from your hotel window and you think, oh, Caesar's Palace is just next door to the Bellagio.
It looks so close.
It is not close. It is a 15-minute walk, maybe more, involving multiple escalators and pedestrian bridges. The city blocks are massive.
So what are the real options for getting around? Let's start with the one everyone sees, the Deuce.
The Deuce is the double-decker bus that runs up and down the strip.
Let's do a quick pros and cons.
Okay, pros. It is cheap. It's about $8 for a 24-hour pass. It runs 20/47. And if you can snag a seat on the top deck, right the front row, you get fantastic views of the strip. It's a cheap sightseeing tour.
Okay, the cons?
Cons. It is painfully slow. It stops at basically every single casino, and it gets stuck in the exact same bumper-to-bumper strip traffic as all the Ferraris and taxis.
So the strategy is use it for casual sightseeing, but not if you have a dinner reservation in 20 minutes.
Exactly. If you are in any kind of a rush, do not take the Deuce. You will be late, I promise you.
What about the monorail? Is that a better option?
The monorail is faster, for sure, but it has a very limited and slightly inconvenient route. It only covers the east side of the strip, from the MGM Grand at the south end up to the Sahara at the north end.
So it doesn't go to the west side at all?
No. If you want to go to Caesar's Palace or the Bellagio or the Mirage, you have to get off the monorail on the east side, find a pedestrian bridge, and walk all the way across the strip.
So where is it actually useful?
It's great for getting to the convention center. That's its primary function, really. And the tech is good. It has Google Pay integration, so you can just scan your phone and go. No waiting in line for a paper ticket.
And walking. We touched on it, but it's worth repeating.
Be prepared to walk miles, even just inside the casinos. To get from the front door of the MGM Grand to the monorail station at the very back of the property is a hike in and of itself. Wear comfortable shoes. I cannot stress this enough. Do not try to do the strip in brand new heels or dress shoes. You will regret every decision you've ever made.
Duly noted. Finally, before we wrap up, we have to address the elephant in the room, or rather the giant guitar in the room, the transition of the Mirage.
Ah, yes. The end of an era.
We're in February 2026. The property is now owned by the Seminole Indian tribe, which is effectively hard rock. But what is the actual status on the ground right now?
It is in what our sources are calling a zombie transition phase. It's in limbo. The plans, as we know, are to build a massive 660-foot tall, guitar-shaped hotel tower right where the volcano is. That is the future.
But right now, today.
Right now, the hotel is still operating as the Mirage. The iconic volcano is still there for now. It still erupts on schedule. But the secret garden and the dolphin habitat, Siegfried and Roy's legacy, are gone. They've been closed and demolished to make way for the new construction.
So if you were visiting in February 2026, you are really seeing the end of an era. You're seeing the ghost of the Mirage right before the full Hard Rock rebrand takes over, which is expected sometime in late 2027 or maybe 2028.
It is a unique and slightly melancholy moment in time. You can still watch the volcano, which defined the strip for a generation, but right behind it, you can see the construction fences where the guitar will eventually rise. It is a true liminal space.
So after all that, what does this all mean? We've covered a lot of ground, the tech, the shows, the history, the nature.
I think if we synthesize all of this, the Las Vegas experience in 2026 is really defined by this constant duality, this juxtaposition. You have the hyper-reality of the Sphere sitting next to the stark physical reality of Red Rock. You have the preserved 1930s mob history just down the road from the futuristic, bizarre, immersive art. at Omega Mart.
It really caters to the learner, doesn't it? It's not just a passive vacation anymore.
It absolutely does. You can still engage with this city on a completely surface level. Just look in the pretty lights and play some slots. That's fine. Or you can dig deeper. You can go to the Neon Museum and understand why the lights look the way they do. You can go to the Mob Museum and understand who paid for them. You can go to the Hoover Dam and see how they are powered. There are layers now.
And I think that leads us perfectly to our final provocative thought for you, the listener.
As the mirage fades and the sphere rises, as old Vegas is either torn down or lovingly preserved, this city proves, yet again, that it is the only city in the world that is constantly, relentlessly molting. It completely sheds its skin every single decade.
So the question for you is, in a city that is specifically designed from the ground up to distract you, to overwhelm your senses, and pull your attention in a million different directions,
what happens when you actually stop and pay attention to the details?
that's where the real city is.
That is where the real magic is.